What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Thunder Sports Pod. It is your boy JT, and
The stash, baby, we here again.
oh yeah, so we'll go ahead and dive into the talk of today. So, a little bit of NBA on the early agenda. Guess the NBA player agenda, or guess the NBA player edition game. Okay, you ready for this, Stash? You
I,
ready?
I might be able to get this. It's been depending
Okay,
on if they're older or not. Newer
okay,
players, I
all
struggle
right.
a little more with.
It's not an old player. Okay, relatively. So this player went against LeBron in the playoffs. He played for an Eastern Conference team. They are always getting beat by LeBron. Can you think of this player
Always getting beat by LeBron.
in
So,
the playoffs
hmm,
in the Eastern Conference?
is he retired?
I believe so. Yeah,
Believe
yeah. He
so.
he played overseas for a little bit, but I believe retired. Yeah, he's retired.
Hmm, beat by LeBron, Eastern Conference.
You want me to give you
Joakim
another hint?
Noah?
Let me
No.
give you the the years or the team he played
Give me
for.
the years.
Okay, so roughly this guy played for
Hmm.
this organization from I want to say 2013 till around 2016 to 2017 range.
Okay. 2016, 2013. So he's on the Heat at the time. LeBron was going back to Cleveland. He stayed there. He stayed in the East. Oh, what was the team?
The Pacers.
Oh, not Paul George, Danny Granger,
Mm-mm,
Victor Oladipo.
mm-mm.
Uh, hmm.
You want me to give you the final hint, or
Was
do
it
you
was it
want
the
to
big
guess?
tall boy?
Mm-mm. He was
No,
a guard. He was a
guard.
guard.
I'm thinking. Trying to think of that Pacers team. The only two people that scream like Roy Hibbert was a big guy. Was a big tall guy. Danny Granger and Paul George were the
Yeah.
three guys on that team I could think of.
He did not start.
Oh, okay.
Well, he was a big factor for them. I think he started some games and most of the time came off the bench though.
I'm trying to think of Pacers. Pacers are hard because I don't ever think about the Pacers.
Yeah. You can give you a hint that'll kind of blow you away,
What is it?
kind of play on words there. He blew at LeBron in his face.
Oh, Stevenson. I forgot
Yeah,
all about
Stevenson,
Stevenson.
Lance
My bad.
Stevenson. Yeah,
He ended up playing with LeBron like 2 years ago, so I was kind of shocked.
yeah,
Oh my
pretty crazy.
goodness.
That's kind of like a forgotten player, a little bit at
Yeah,
least.
a little bit. Yeah, no, because I think he's playing overseas now. He was with the Lakers for like a season, but that was it.
He was a good role player.
Definitely. He could get in your head though.
Oh, for sure. He definitely did. Um, so we'll go ahead and move on to NFL. Which team has surprised you the most through 6 weeks of playing so far in the NFL?
The Detroit Lions.
Detroit, really? Okay.
Detroit has shocked me beyond like any other team. Like they
Mm,
they had a lot of hype last year going into this season, but like I don't know if I expected them to be 5-1 right now.
mm,
I was really shocked. I expect them to be good. Like I thought they would maybe had a closer battle with Green Bay for the division, but it looks like it's the division to win or the division to lose is a better way of putting it. They just look really
yeah,
good.
really.
I think Detroit's just out there showing people like, hey, we're here to play this year.
Not playing around at all. Yeah, Detroit is definitely in the division winners. I think at least they're probably going to win 11 or 12 games. Um, my selection, though, I'm going with LA Rams as the team that surprised me the most so far. They're 3-3, and before the season, I thought they would win like 5 games max. And they're already at 3 wins. That's pretty crazy because their defense is depleted. They've got Aaron Donald and a bunch of misfit toys around him. So I think the Matthew Stafford to Cooper Cup connection, it's always been there. It's going to continue to grow when he came off injury. He's back now. The big surprise, though, for that offense is Puka Nakua, the
Pokish.
rookie receiver. He's been balling, man. He's been going crazy. So this adds a different element to that team. The run game has been pretty strong, surprisingly. So their offense is legit this year, and I think they'll continue to have success. I thought they were going to finish to the bottom of that division with Arizona, but they're looking like they could be a potential wild card team this year.
Josh Dobbs to the moon.
Yes, sir. Hey, speaking of that, apparently Kyler Murray is about to return to practice for the Cardinals. Would you sit him or would you let
I would
or
sit
would
him.
you let
I would
Josh
sit him.
Dobbs?
Do not start that dude. Let him sit on the bench. Do not. You're going to trade him. Trust me, you're trading him at the end of the year. You're trading him.
Mhm.
So don't even bother playing him. Keep him as healthy as possible and then ship him out.
You know what I said before the season? I think they should trade this man Kyler Murray to the Falcons to get rid of Desmond Ritter
Don't send him to the
because
Falcons,
Desmond
please.
Ritter's not it.
Please, for the love of God, do not send him to the Falcons.
Oh
I don't
man.
need a quarterback in Atlanta that knows how to utilize Kyle Pitts. I do not need that.
Hey, everybody check out our TikTok video. I made a whole video about it, about how this would help Atlanta's offense tremendously, having a dual threat quarterback that can get it to their weapons of Drake London, Kyle Pitts especially, and Bijan Robinson in the backfield. Kyler Murray would be crazy in Atlanta. It'd be such an upgrade from what they currently have in Desmond Ritter. So, but yeah, Stash, I could see why you don't want that to happen.
I don't think he's that good personally. I think I had like that one real good year. Besides that, he hasn't been impressive, and he is always hurt. So I don't know if the Falcons would even like. Would you rather have Desmond Ritter, who can show up each week, or do you want Kyler Murray, who's going to be hurt
Hmm.
most of the season, or he's out playing Call of Duty
Good
on a
point.
game night?
Yeah, that's true. We'll go ahead and move on though to our next discussion. Who is the better quarterback, Brock Purdy or Jared Goff?
If you would have told asked me this question a week ago, I'm like, I don't know. Brock Purdy's playing hot, but after both of them playing, Brock Purdy did not look great. He did not look
Hmm.
like the hype, the Mister Irrelevant. I was hoping he could drive it down the field, win the game, and be Tom Brady. He wasn't though, and I think that hurts his. And there's a lot of memes posted about him right now because of it.
Yeah.
It did not look good. Christian McCaffrey being hurt and Debo going down both in the same game is rough. They have to get McCaffrey back if they want that offense to thrive. But I'm going to go with Jared Goff on this. He is
Hmm.
playing like a top three QB in the league right now.
That's very true. I mean, you touched on CMC and Debo being out. That's huge. I mean, Jared Goff is, I feel like, disrespected to some degree because he's been very good the past couple of seasons, especially this year. He's been playing solid. He's a top 12 quarterback easily. I think Brock Purdy has been playing great. I believe that was his first loss as a starter for the San Francisco
It was.
49ers. So for me personally, I think that Brock Purdy is the better quarterback. I think it's slightly, though. I think it's barely. I think this game is sort of an outlier because you do have the loss of CMC and Debo. Nonetheless, you've got to perform without those star players. I mean, injuries are going to happen, but I'm not trying to make an excuse for Purdy, but that Browns defense is a top three defense this year, losing two of your best offensive weapons. Number one.
They're number one, baby. They have the best
Yeah,
defense in football.
I would not disagree. I mean, they're playing the best ball right now on the defensive side of the ball. So, I mean, you just went up against the best defense in football. Jim Schwartz is an amazing defensive coordinator. Um, Especially losing two of your best players. I mean, that is not a recipe for success. So, I think this week, having that taste in his mouth, he's going to try to get rid of that. And he's not like he's had a bad season. He's been playing great this year. Before that, so I think he's going to continue to have a great season. And the stats so far for both of them, Brock Purdy has 1,396 yards through the air, 10 touchdowns, one pick. Jared Goff has 1,618 yards, passing, 11 touchdowns through the air, three picks. Um, so I don't know, man. I think also the QBR rating 73.3 for Jared Goff, fourth in the league. Brock Purdy is 76.9, number one.
Now,
So I think it's
Brock's playing
very
hot. No
Brock
doubt.
is. And Jared Goff has more touchdowns. Purdy has, less interceptions, but they're very similar in their game style. I think they're not game managers. They're not. They can attack the field wherever you have your receivers line up. I mean, they'll get it to the right position. Their ball placement is top of the league. Um, Very underrated guys in their own right, but I think I'm gonna take Purdy slightly over Jared Goff. I mean, he could go either way. I don't think there's a wrong answer with this one, but I'm gonna take Purdy.
I think I'm one of these guys that think about this a lot. I think Goff's doing more with less, if that makes sense. Like he's got St. Brown, who is a great receiver, top 15, arguably top 12 this year. And Sam Laporta has definitely stepped up. You could argue he's the best tight end in football right now, at least number one, number two right now. He's playing hotter than everyone
Yeah,
else. I
he's
like.
playing really good.
I wouldn't put Kelsey in the top three right now.
Hey, Iowa's tight end you. They produce tight ends.
They do. Look at George Kittle. I'd probably put Sam Laporta and George Kittle at the top two spots right now. They're playing so good. I
Yeah.
would have them up there. But you have Monty went down for the Lions. They're
Mhm.
gonna Jameer Gibbs back this week. Hopefully he can shine like that rookie. So that he was worth that draft pick that so
For
early.
fantasy football sake.
I don't even want to talk about fantasy right now, but it's been rough. They had a lot of injuries too, and they're still playing at an elite level. So I'm very impressed with that. CMC is the arguably MVP of the season in my opinion. Like he
Mhm.
until this injury, like he is, if as long as his injury is not serious and he comes back and he's fine, he's gonna win MVP. He is just outright just the best player in football right now.
He's been playing spectacular, and the last player that was a non-quarterback to win the MVP award was Adrian Peterson back in 2012, coming off an ACL tear.
It's been
So
11 years since someone besides a QB won.
crazy. I think if any year it's this year though, it could be CMC for sure.
Help getting them running backs paid.
Yeah, really. Oh man, so we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic. Which team will end up with the most wins out of these teams that I present to you? The Saints, the Seahawks, the Ravens, or the Jaguars? Mm, okay. Mm, yeah, yeah. Mm, yeah. Hmm. That's the truth. Mm, mm, mm. I like that take. Especially so Trevor Lawrence is questionable now for this week in their matchup against Thursday Night Football and the Saints because he had a knee injury this past weekend when they were up pretty big in the game and they still had Trevor out there. So very questionable move by Doug Peterson, but I'm gonna spill my reasoning why I choose this team. So I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong, Stash. I'm sorry, but Seattle is not gonna have the most wins out of these four teams, just solely on the fact of their division. The San Francisco 49ers, and they play the Rams. The Cardinals, I could care less. They're probably gonna lose
Josh
three
Dobbs to the
divisional games.
moon.
Dobbs to the moon. The Saints have an easy quarterback schedule for opposing quarterbacks they play. Their defense is legit. Their offensive guys they've got in their organization are top tier. They've got some great weapons. They do. The quarterback play from Carr has been all right, but
Lackluster.
we'll see. Very true. To see all the weapons they have, he needs to produce more with what he's got. So I think it'll be down between these three: Saints, Ravens, Jags. Like you mentioned, the Ravens, their injury plagues so bad each year. Um, Lamar Jackson's been playing pretty good this year. He's going to have to step it up even more for their team to take him above expectations. The Jags, with Trevor Lawrence, if he can stay healthy, they've got a very poor division. Houston, you were pretty high on them, and I was not. So they're 3-3 going into their bye week, and they could look like they could give Trevor Lawrence and the Jags some run for that division, surprisingly.
That division's up in the air for anybody, but I think the
Yes.
Texans do squeak out. I think they'll beat the Jags twice this year.
Mm. I just don't see the Colts or Titans competing ever,
Not
especially since Anthony Richardson is out for the year. Ryan Tannehill is hurt currently, so both quarterbacks for those teams are down. Um, I think it's going to be between the Jags and Texans, but I think the Jags will still win the division. Anyways, going back to our um, discussion, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens that have the most wins. I think the Jags will be close, but if Trevor Lawrence misses any time, that's going to be detrimental for that team. So I think the Ravens end up with the most, even as tough as that division is. I think they'll end up with the most wins out of those four teams. I think the Jags will be very close. Right behind them, I could flip a coin, either team, honestly. But if I had to choose one, I'll go with Baltimore.
Baltimore, the Ravens. That division's so weird too, because the Bengals are finally like kind of looking like themselves. They're on a bye week this week, and they play the Niners next week.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of
And like
curious
I
on
kind of
that.
contradicted myself saying about the Seahawks, and they've got a tough division, so they won't win many games, and the Ravens got a tough division, but they're going to win games. But I think the Ravens are just going to win more of those divisional games than the
I
Seahawks will.
do think that the Ravens have a better shot at winning their division
Yeah.
than Seattle, but I think they just play in such a tough division, and that division's up for anybody, in my opinion, more or less. Like the
Mhm.
Niners have that one on lock.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
So DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett, they just have a good all around team.
they do.
So like for me, I just Seattle just looks like the most
Mhm.
complete. Like Lamar isn't playing necessarily that bad, not playing that great in some of those games, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The Saints the Saints are going to win their division. I don't care what anyone says. They're not winning the
Mhm.
division. After Tampa smoked them 26-9, no, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I see Tampa winning that division. They probably
So
will.
so I would say but the Ravens and Jags are good topics because they both have a shot at winning their division, more or less,
Yep,
in my opinion.
they do.
So that could help them win the games. But how many more injuries are the Ravens going to suffer before they collapse? Because
That's the truth.
it's crazy to think. Is Lamar going to go down? Because if he doesn't, then I'm wrong. Because I've been stating I didn't think he needed the money because he's been hurt so much. But
Mhm.
if he's the only guy that's healthy, I'll be shocked.
That's the truth. I mean, they're injury bug plagued for sure. I've got a lot of injuries every year, and it seems like when will it stop for that team? Very unfortunate, but we'll go ahead and move on. Let us know down below in the comments which team do you think will have the most wins at the end of the day. All right, so which trio are you taking? This I like this right here. Dan Marino, Frank Gore, Andre Johnson, or Drew Brees, Marshawn Lynch, and AJ Green. Who you taking, Stash?
I'm going to take, if I had to choose, because these are kind of interesting. I'm going to take Marino, Gore, and Andre Johnson if I
Mm,
had to choose. I think that Marino was the best QB to never win a Super Bowl. And if Drew Brees never won one, be hard for me not to say Drew Brees. But it also look at it like Dan Marino could be up there too. Frank Gore was a great running back. And he played forever, and he was kind of consistent for the majority of it. And Andre Johnson is a slept-on wide receiver, in my opinion. I think he's
oh yeah,
slept on by a lot. I think he's
for
amazing. He
sure.
was great in the Texans, and I think Andre's better than AJ. I do think Marshawn's better than Frank Gore, and then Drew versus Marino, I think it's very close. But I'm going to take. The big factor for me was Andre Johnson, especially in like a league today where it's more passing than running.
Yeah,
So I would go with Andre Marino and Frank Gore on it.
that's a very close debate for me, honestly. I think it could go either way with my decision, but ultimately I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think I'd rather have Dan Marino, Frank Gore and Andre Johnson. Two of the most slept on players of all time. They're very underrated. Frank Gore, he played, seemed like forever, but he was always turning out yards on the ground for the 49ers and the Colts at the end of his career. Andre Johnson was a great receiver in Houston, one of the best to do it, Hall of Fame career. Um, but the other side of things, you got Drew Brees, Marshawn Lynch, and AJ Green. I feel like that'd be such a fun trio to watch. I mean, Drew Brees throwing down the field to prime AJ Green, and then you got beast mode running the ball. I mean, that's a nasty trio. So I think ultimately it just comes down to quarterback play, and I think Dan Marino to Andre Johnson would be better than Drew Brees to AJ Green. Let us know down below, who do you guys think in the comments is the better trio? But we'll go ahead and move on to our next. All right, the next topic we got start bench cut. I'm gonna leave this one up to you. We got Geno Smith, CJ Stroud, Kenny Pickett
It's
as your
easy,
quarterbacks.
easy. No, no question. I'm starting C.J. Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm benching Geno Smith, and I'm cutting Kenny Pickett.
Mm.
After this year alone, I think Geno is very, very good. I just think C.J. Stroud has played excellent as a rookie.
Mm.
So I'm taking him because I think the potential for him is high. So I'm
No.
taking CJ Stroud. He's younger too, but that's not. I'm not even trying to play that in the factor. I'm more just a basic this year alone. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking CJ Stroud as my starter. Geno is my backup, and Kenny, which I think part of that is play offensive play calling from Matt Canada, who should be fired, my opinion on loan. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
I
do
think
think
Steelers fans will agree.
that's how I look at it. I think Kenny Pickett maybe if they get a new OC. I think Brian Leftwich I
Mm.
even offered to, hey, you want to replace him? I'll take a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I would personally go like that. CJ,
Okay.
Geno, Pickett.
I would have to agree with you on that. CJ Stroud's been balling so far this year, so I think it's close. But I think CJ Stroud should be deserving of that number one spot. So CJ, Geno, and then Kenny. Uh, Kenny Pickett to George Pickens' connection has not been there that consistent this year, and everybody was hyping up George Pickens to have this huge breakout year, but he has not been having one so far. So maybe he'll start to break out this year and have a great season, but he's been having a good year, um, but not a great breakout year like everyone's been saying he would. But CJ Stroud, man, he's been impressing early. Definitely having a better career to start through 6 games over uh, his counterpartner against Bryce Young, who got picked first overall in the draft. But yeah, man, I like that. I like that where you put him. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next topic. Guess that player edition NFL. So we had an NBA one earlier. Time for NFL. Are you ready for this one? Do you think you're gonna do better or worse?
I don't know. These make me look like a casual a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. All right.
Okay. So this player, are you ready? He got drafted in the 2018 draft, second overall in the first round. He is a running back for the NFC.
Second round. I'm trying to think of who sucked in
No,
27.
first round, second pick.
Oh, first round, second pick, 2018. You said.
Hmm.
So who sucked so bad in 2017? Running back,
NFC.
NFC. Trying to
Hmm.
think of running backs. He's still playing. He's still a starter today.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
making sure, making sure. Because sometimes, hey, sometimes they're bust, you know.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go. Let's see here. NFC. No. Second pick. Went. Was it Lenny Fournette?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
No.
No, that's Jacksonville. He went to Jacksonville. Never mind. That's wrong. Bijan Robinson just got drafted.
Let me give you another hint.
Yeah. Give me the division, like the division.
All right, I'll give you that after this one.
Okay.
He's been pretty injury plagued, unfortunately, but
Injury.
he's still considered one of the premier running backs in the league.
He was drafted in 2017. NFC.
Drafted 2018.
2018. Trying to think. It's so hard to try to think about teams who sucked back then because it's been so long now.
All right, I'll give you another hint. In college, his workout like clips were going viral. He
What?
went to the University of Penn State.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness, I know this. I know this. I know this. I know this. Oh my goodness, it's is it Kenneth Walker? Oh, forgot when
He
he
went
got.
to Stanford.
Yeah, he went to Stanford. Penn State, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get roasted for this. I feel like I know this. It's on the top of my tongue.
He was a two-time Pro Bowler in 2018 and 2022, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year 2018.
He's still playing the NFC.
Oh yeah, he's still with the same team that drafted him. Two-time first all
Saquon
big
Barkley.
ten.
It's Saquon fucking Barkley. Penn State. I was like, I know this. I had to think.
Bing 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 bing.
Oh my goodness. Penn State. When you said Penn State, I'm like, I know this. I know this off the top of my head. I know
Yeah,
this. I was like, it's Saquon fucking Barkley. That's who it
yeah,
was. Gosh.
you got it. Took you a little while, but you got it.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna.
Congratulations.
Uh,
All right, we'll go ahead and move on.
it's Saquon.
Yeah.
Man, that drives me nuts. I should have known that one.
No, you're good. All right, which NFL team needs to make a big splash before the trade deadline to be considered a serious contender?
Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Kansas City Chiefs need wide receivers. If you don't get any wide receivers, you're gonna get knocked out in the playoffs. Patty Mahomes does not look good, and you see what happens like when he doesn't have a main target like Juju or Tyreek or anything. You got these Tom Brady can make wide receivers out of nothing. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
So so I'm just gonna throw that out there. And some people argue, well, it's like his wide receiver's fault for not catching the ball. I'm like, they should have a connection by now. You would think they would be able to catch it a little better. But how many drops did Tony have in the first game? Sky Moore have dropped in the first game. They still haven't produced at a high level, especially you're trying to get your number one wide receiver out there. I mean, right now their number one wide receiver is Kelsey, and he's been hurt like twice this season already.
Yeah.
Not saying, and he's already got like the whole Swift thing going on. So for me, if Kansas City wants a shot at another Super Bowl, you're gonna have to get a wide receiver. If not, you're screwing yourself, and you're gonna get bounced in the playoffs. Maybe I heard Patty Mahomes doesn't care anymore that much. Like he's got his 2 rings, that's all he needs, and that's a terrible way of looking at it. Yeah, I heard that, and I was like, that's the thing about Brady. At least Brady has a mentality to always strive for another. He always said his favorite ring is the next one.
Yeah.
So my opinion on that, Kansas City has to get some wide receivers. They're gonna have to try to do a trade or something, draft picks. I don't know. You're gonna need something if you want that to happen. Plus, Kelsey's 35.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna have him for maybe a year, maybe 2 at max after the season.
I agree with that. They definitely have to have something in place to make sure that they're going to replace Travis Kelsey, not to the magnitude of Kelsey, but some sort of production to get from whenever he's gone and retired in the next few years, probably 3-4 years from now. But I like that take. They definitely they've got Rashid Rice, I believe, a rookie receiver who's been coming on lately. That's been pretty good for them, but they don't really have a true number one. And that's kind of surprising for a Kansas City offense that thrives off of that. Besides Kelsey, of course, you know. But I like that. For me personally, I think it's the Cincinnati Bengals. They got to go out and get some offensive linemen to protect Joe Burrow. Last year, he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. Year before last, same issue. I mean, ultimately, Joe Burrow has that calf injury. It's going to continue to plague him, I feel like. He says he feels like he's 100%. I don't believe him. But
he is on a bye this week. He gets to sit out.
True.
But he's playing San Fran's defense next week. So
he's going to have to be running around a lot because that O-line for Cincy is not very good. So I feel like Cincinnati's got to get at least 1 or 2 acquisitions to help Joe Burrow stand upright in that pocket. Because if they don't, they're not going to have much playoff success this year because there's a lot of AFC teams that has a serious pass rush. So I mean, I think ultimately the biggest thing is Cincinnati's got to get some O linemen.
definitely gonna need to get some O line. They need something. I don't see Cincy win a Super Bowl with that line. You're gonna have to improve it. And
I agree.
they're already trying to. They're already being stingy with a little bit of money because they're not even willing to pay T Higgins, who was a great number 2.
Yep.
So
I mean, look at what happened not this past Super Bowl, but the year before last. If Joe Burrow had more time, he would have had Jamar Chase for the game-winning touchdown because he beat Jalen Ramsey.
if he would have had 2 more seconds, he could have won that game, and it would have been over, and LA would have never got the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But no, you're like, first off, since he didn't belong in the Super Bowl that year, I'm not hating. It's just
Yeah.
they weren't the best team in the AFC that year.
Who you
They
think would?
I don't know, but
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
it was just more of like I just don't think they were the best team. They were struggled a lot. Like you said, Burrow was on his back most of the time.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Like it is what it is. They had a shot to win it. That's the crazy part because I do not think they were the best team in the AFC, and they were 2 seconds away from winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That game should not have been nearly that close, but no, they need the help. Like you need to get the O line fixed because if not, you're never winning a Super Bowl with Joe Shiesty.
Exactly. Because he is their franchise guy. You've got to keep your franchise quarterback upright at all time. I mean, there's going to be situations where he's going to get sacked, of course, but for the most part, you've got to have protection.
Definitely, you have to. Like I think this year is a very good representation. Is if you have a crappy O line, it shows. This year is the biggest year for like O lines. Like looking at O lines, look at Danny Dimes in New York. His O line is garbage. I don't think it's all on him. I'm not saying he isn't to blame on some of it, but I
Mm,
think that O line is killing him. He has a neck injury right now, so
yeah. Yeah, that offensive line for the Giants, it is abysmal, man. I feel bad for Daniel Jones, but he's got to endure that and embrace it to the point where he can overcome it because he's not going to be handed anything easy, especially in New York with that media. They're going to be hard on him. So he's got to rise above that and meet expectations or at least, surpass it to some degree. But yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to our next segment. Um, which player is currently underperforming in the NFL?
this is a hot take, but I'll tell you. Well, I don't think it's that much of a hot take. People who actually like know football. So this is gonna be my point. Where the people who call me casual for the guessing the player, this is for you. Patty Mahomes is underperforming at a
Hmm.
career low this season. Look at his stats. If you don't believe me, look
Yeah.
at him. He is performing at a career low. You let Zach Wilson outplay you. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm,
But you're supposed to be the best QB in football. I've stated it. I still think he is when he
mm,
wants to be, and that's the worst part. He should be thriving
yeah.
to be the best QB every time he steps on the field.
Mhm.
That's part of being a QB and being the leader of a team. Like, oh, we got bounced in the first round. That's fine. I got 2 rings. What about the other guys on your team that weren't there? Are you just gonna give up on them? No. So
Exactly.
that's my personal take. I think Patty Mahomes is playing. He's underperforming very bad this year. Like he's not playing necessarily awful, but he's not
Yeah.
playing at the level he should be playing at to be the number
He's
one QB in football.
he's playing good, not great, and people have him on this pedestal of playing great all the time. So you've got to, rise up to the expectations at times whenever you're playing poor. So I like that. He's playing, he's still playing good, but not to the expectation, like you said, of where people have him. Um, I I think you're gonna like my selection, Stash. I've got two of them. So which one do you want to hear first, the younger one or or my other selection? Okay, all right. So the young quarterback, I feel like that is not meeting expectations and kind of underperforming. It's the rookie quarterback selected first at Alabama, Bryce Young. And my reasoning is this, everybody, bear with me. You look at it, you could have had CJ Stroud. The Panthers could have had CJ Stroud. I'm just saying, swap positions. They probably did not have the same production. Like if CJ goes to Carolina, it's a whole different ball game because you got to factor in players around you, coaching, development, etc. But if you look at what CJ Stroud's doing in Houston, he's top five in passing yards as a rookie. They're 3-3 in the race for their division lead with Jacksonville currently. Compared to Carolina, they have not won again. And Bryce Young is not playing good football. He only has, through 6 weeks, Stash, 967 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. We're almost to the halfway point. He doesn't even have He doesn't even have he doesn't even have double digit touchdowns. You want to know what his QBR rating is? 33.1. 33rd in the league. 32 other quarterbacks have a better QBR rating than this man. That is awful. And yeah, I get it. Your O line is not the greatest, excuse me, but you still have weapons around you. You have Adam Thielen, DJ Chark. You've got tight ends that can produce. You've got Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard or Hubbard, however you say it. Um, but I don't want to hear any excuses from Carolina fans because you drafted this man over CJ Stroud. So that is my player that is underperforming that needs to get better, and I think will. I'm being hard on this young man because of where he was drafted. So I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think with developing, I think he'll eventually get there where he can be a good quarterback. But right now, he's not playing good at all. Well, all right, let's talk about this for a little while, actually. Okay, so Jalen Hurts, everyone is calling him an S tier quarterback, an elite guy. Um, Excuse me, but when did we put quarterbacks in that category after 1 year of great play? I've never seen that before. So we hold guys accountable after years of work of being at the top of the game. Then you put them in the S tier, like the superior, the best of the best. Jalen Hurts has got to do this again and again and again to be considered a top three quarterback or even at the top of the list. So 1 year of great play, that should not register as a top three, top five quarterback in the league. I'm sorry, but it doesn't. Philly has the best O line in football, some of the best weapons in the league. Like you mentioned, between AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goddard, that running game with DeAndre Swift. So they have no excuses for him not to play well. But you better be quiet in the comments, man, or them Philly fans are gonna be after you. Their golden child is precious to them. So uh, when he's not playing well, any player, any quarterback, you've got to be held accountable. And the quarterback position itself has the most praise for when they win, has the most scrutiny for when they lose. That's how it should be in the media. That's how it has been in years and in prior history. So you've got to deal with it and embrace it. But I like that. So we've got Bryce Young and we have um,
Patty
Jalen
Mahomes
Hurts,
and Jalen Hurts.
Patty Mahomes as well. So my other one, we technically have four. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Jordan Love for the Green Bay Packers has not been playing as he should. He's underperforming so far through 6 weeks. He is replacing the king of the North and the king of the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Um, big shoes to fill. The first 2 or 3 weeks, he was actually playing pretty well, um, comparatively. So, just these last few weeks, man, he's been blowing up. I'll spill some stats real quick. So through 6 games, considering a bye week too, but through 5 games technically, he has 1,083 yards, 8 touchdowns through the air, 6 picks. He had 3 of those versus the Raiders. That he looked like a backup quarterback in that game. It looked ugly. And he has a 43.3 QBR rating, 23rd in the league. So
Ooh.
I do not think that this man is necessarily ready to be a starter. If I'm being real, um, I think he's going to hear me out. I think he's going to continue to grow throughout the season and develop. I think by week 15, 16, he's going to be a top 15 quarterback, top 12 quarterback. I think he's going to take a huge leap at the end of the year, but currently he's playing awful and deserves to get some scrutiny for his poor play because you had a top five quarterback of all time for your franchise leave you, and they thought that he was going to be able to replace Rodgers, but that's not happening. So that defense is going to have to keep them in games. And Jair Alexander said that their defense is going to have to keep them in games. So even the players know it. So he's just got to limit his mistakes. And Green Bay will probably benefit from that if they just pound the run game in the trenches and rely on their defense. That should be the recipe for success in Green Bay.
I agree. I'm a bit. I'm on the hype train for Jordan Love. I'm gonna give him another season. I'm gonna see how he finishes this, and I'll probably give him next year and see how he
I think
does.
I think that's very fair because um, next year he's not like a normal quarterback because he sat behind Rodgers for a couple years. Um, So you cannot really base. This is like his rookie year.
So I would argue that
But
QBs who sit are better than ones that start right out of the gate.
I mean, I agree because you get that experience and learn from the starter, and you get that that mental preparation that you need to help you in the future whenever you become the starter.
Because I look at it and I'm like okay, Rodgers sat under Favre for 4 years. Rodgers played great.
Yeah,
Brady sat behind Bledsoe.
yeah.
I mean, I think Breeze was a backup at 1.2 for a
Mm.
year.
It just it begs to question like how long an individual should sit, at the quarterback position because each person's different and when to take the training wheels off. Because I know different play callers each year for like offensive coordinators that plays a huge factor into a quarterback's development, especially in the NFL. So, uh, I mean, it's it's rough, man. Especially whenever you get used to certain plays and certain way of thinking, and then you get a whole new guy in there. You got to learn the new system. But that's got to be rough on a quarterback. But I think I'm gonna judge Jordan Love more next year. But I'm still giving them some scrutiny right now because everybody was saying that Green Bay was, going to be right up there with Detroit this year for the division, and that's not the case, man. They're not looking good. They've only won 2 games and looking pretty ugly.
Definitely, I would agree. Like I said, I'm on the hype train for him. I think I'm gonna give him next season, all of next season, rest of the season, all of next season, so they can like maybe they'll get some draft pieces that might help
Yeah.
out, different things like that. But I have faith in Jordan Love. I think he is. And I think he could be a very good quarterback. I don't know necessarily if he will be at the same level, but if you look at Rodgers' stats from his first start, they weren't great. I'll throw it out. He had a lot of yards, but he had a lot. He had it was most interceptions he ever thrown in like a season. Was
I mean,
his
if you look at
rookie year.
if you look at Peyton Manning, that's the same case. I mean, he did not play good his rookie year at all. So,
No, no.
I mean, it just goes to show quarterbacks can develop after a year, but we'll see. Have to wait and see on Jordan Love. But let us know in the comments, everybody, what you guys think. Which quarterback has, or which player in general has underperformed to expectations so far. But that is the last segment of the day, everybody. We're going to go ahead and end the stream, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of Thunder Sports Pod. Leave a like, comment, follow if you haven't already, sub, but check out the TikTok as well. It's been doing pretty well. Same handle, Thunder Sports Pod, but it's been JT and
Stash, baby. We out. Peace.